Right, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to this session of SB Gems. Srimad Bhagavatam. Gems from Srimad Bhagavatam are selected key verses from Srimad Bhagavatam, and our speaker, His Grace Jiva Tattva Prabhuji, is speaking for today. He's speaking about the transformative power of Bhakti. And Prabhuji, is that correct? Today you have one verse you're
Yes.
speaking from?
Yes.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
So I think at this time we can start the prayers. Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please join us for the invocation prayers for Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiriyet Shavatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shamana Kirtanaha Hridayantastho Bhadrani Vidhunoti Suhatsatam Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatir Shloke Bhaktir Bhavti Nashtiki. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Today we are covering a beautiful verse from the 4th canto, chapter 22, verse number is 39. So please join us in the recitation of this verse. It's a very sweet verse and can be recited in various ways on various melodies. So we'll try a few of them. Yad pad pankaj palash vilas bhaktya कर्माशयं ग्रथितं उद्गृह्यन्ति सन्तः तद्वन्न रिक्तमतयो यतयो अपिरुद्ध श्रोतो गणास्तमरणं भज वासुदेवम्. And then again, when we are following Brahma Samhita meter, it can also be done that way.
¿Cuántos fuiste?
Hare Krishna. Devi, could you please mute because there are voices in the background?
Hare Krishna. My connection was muted. Actually, it was someone else's.
Sure.
Everybody, please stay muted. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna. Yad pad pankaj palas vilas bhaktya karmashayan gratitam udgratyanti santaha tadvan rikta matayo yatayo apiruddha shoto ganastamarnam bhajavasudevam. And of course, if we ask Brajvasis to sing it, they sing it very differently. Yad pad pankaj palas vilas bhaktya karmashayam gratitam udgratyanti santah tadvanna riktamatayo yatayo apiruddha shoto ganastamarnam bhajvasudevam. Hare Krishna. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So the devotees who are always engaged in the service of the toes of the lotus feet of the Lord can very easily overcome hard-knotted desires for fruitive activities. Because this is very difficult, the non-devotees, the jnanis and yogis, although trying to stop the waves of sense gratification, cannot do so. Therefore, you are advised to engage in the devotional service of Krishna, the son of Vasudeva. Purport: there are three kinds of transcendentalists trying to overcome the influence of the modes of material nature: the jnanis, the yogis, and bhaktas. All of them attempt to overcome the influence of the senses, which is compared to the incessant waves of a river. The waves of a river flow incessantly, and it is very difficult to stop them. Similarly, the waves of desire for material enjoyment are so strong that they cannot be stopped by any process other than bhakti yoga. The bhaktas, by their transcendental devotional service unto the lotus feet of the Lord, become so overwhelmed with transcendental bliss that automatically their desires for material enjoyment stop. The Gyanis and yogis who are not attached to the lotus feet of the Lord simply struggle against the waves of desire. There folks sitting in the waiting room. They are described in this verse as Rikta Matiyaha, which means devoid of devotional service. In other words, the Gyanis and yogis, although trying to be free from the desires of material activities, actually become more and more entangled in false philosophical speculation or strenuous attempts to stop the activities of the senses. As stated previously, Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janayati Ashu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayadahetukam. Srimadbhagavatam 127. Here also the same point is stressed. Bhaj Vasudevam indicates that one who is engaged in the loving service of Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, can very easily stop the waves of desires. As long as one continues to try to artificially stop the waves of desires, he will certainly be defeated. That is indicated in this verse. Desires for fruitive activities are strongly rooted, but the trees of desire can be uprooted completely by devotional service, because devotional service employs superior desire. One can give up inferior desires when engaged in superior desires. To try to stop desires is impossible. One has to desire the supreme in order not to be entangled in inferior desires. Jnanis maintain a desire to become one with the Supreme, but such a desire is also considered to be calm, lust. Similarly, the yogis desire mystic power, and that is also calm. And the bhaktas, not being desirous of any sort of material enjoyment, become purified. There is no artificial attempt to stop desire. Desire becomes a source of spiritual enjoyment under the protection of the toes of the lotus feet of the Lord. It is stated herein by the Kumaras that the lotus feet of Lord Krishna are the ultimate reservoir of all pleasure. One should therefore take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord instead of trying unsuccessfully to stop desires for material enjoyment. As long as one is unable to stop the desire for material enjoyment, there is no possibility of becoming liberated from the entanglement of material existence. It may be argued that the waves of a river are incessantly flowing and that they cannot be stopped, but the waves of the river flow toward the sea. When the tide comes over the river, it overwhelms the flowing of the river and the river itself becomes overflooded. Then the waves from the sea become more prominent than the waves from the river. Similarly, a devotee with intelligence plans so many things for the service of the Lord in Krishna consciousness that stagnant material desires become overflooded by the desire to serve the Lord. As confirmed by Yamunacharya, since he has been engaged in the service of the lotus feet of the Lord, there is always a current of newer and newer desires flowing to serve the Lord. So much so that the stagnant desire of sex life becomes very insignificant. Yamunacharya even says that he spits on such desires. Bhagavad Gita 2.59 also confirms Param Drishtva Nivartate. The conclusion is that by developing a loving desire for the service of the lotus feet of the Lord, we subdue all material desires for sense gratification. Hare Krishna. Please join us for Guru Pranati to get blessings from Srila Prabhupada and the Acharyas. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Damine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshitarine Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripa tadaham vande Shri Gurum dina taranam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So this verse is glorifying the transformative power of bhakti. Yad pada pankaj palas vilas bhaktya. So again, those devotees who are with devotion serving the toes of the lotus feet of the Lord. Karma shayan gratiyanti udgratiyanti. So again, all these material desires related knots. Gratiyanti means knot, but udgratiyanti means they uproot it. They completely. So sometimes when there are trees, they are heavily, deep rooted, but they can be easily uprooted in this by serving the lotus feet and the toes of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. So the devotees who are always in devotional service of the Lord, they can very easily overcome these hard knotted desires. And Srila Prabhupada gives the example of incessant waves of the river. But the same waves become overwhelmed when there is high tide on the ocean, and the waves actually from the ocean come in the direction of the river, and the river becomes over flooded. And that's what happens when we take to the devotional service. We engage so much, and attraction towards the Lordship increases so much so that it overwhelms all material desires. And Param Deshwanava, that once we have experienced the higher taste, we do not desire to go to the lower taste, to the past anymore. And so today we will unfold the gems of Srimad Bhagavatam in this special gem, because it is glorifying Bhakti Yoga and also saying that all of the kind of personalities which are non-devotees, which include the two other type of transcendentalists, the Jnanis and the Yogis, they are also in the category of non-devotees because they have their material desires, kama, lust, to acquire something. Jnanis are looking to merge into Brahman effulgence, which is to become God. So that's also a desire, it's a material desire. And yogis are looking for mystic powers, to become greater than the greatest, the smaller than the smallest, to be able to prapti, get siddhis, to be able to acquire anything they feel like. Why would you acquire anything? Because you have some material desire. So from that perspective, we see. But then sometimes people say, but these three are the transcendentalists. Yes, there is a verse that talks about these three personalities as transcendentalists. Vadanti tattatvidas tattvam yajnanam avyayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagwan iti shabdyate. So the learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth, they understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the absolute truth in three forms. Brahman, the spiritual effulgence that's coming from the toes of the nails of the toes of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, and Paramatma, the super soul, who's sitting in our heart, and Bhagwan, Lord Shri Krishna himself. So the devotees engage in serving the Lordship. Yogis meditate on this Paramatma, the super soul in the heart, so that they can acquire various mystic powers and to be able to go from one planet to another without having to take a plane. And the impersonalists or the Jnanis, they are looking to merge into Brahman, which is the external effulgence of the Lord. So today we will be looking at it from an acronym. And of course, today it's all about the glorification of Bhakti Yoga. So we'll be looking at the acronym Bhakti, where B stands for Bhajan. I'll give you the acronym early on, so you know. B stands for Bhajan because we are looking, what's the essence? The essence is the heartfelt engagement in devotional service. And when we engage in devotional service, we actually come to that level of, to be able to do it properly, we have to humble ourselves. And that is H, humility, which is the foundation of spiritual progress. And as we are looking to have a strong foundation, we also need support from others. And that's where A comes in. A is for association, sadhu sangha, the power of sangha. And sadhu sangha enable us to have this nice fence around our Bhaktilata beach, which is like the creeper of our devotional service, to protect it from external influence, from anarthas, unwanted things. And when we are engaging with the devotees, of course, there is Ishta Goshti going on. So that is K. K is for Krsna Katha, which is giving us the nourishment, through divine narration. Just like Prithu Maharaj in this case, he was blessed by the Lordship. After having performed 99 sacrifices, he was trying to perform 100 sacrifices, but Indra was stealing away the horse. It was Ashwamedh Yagya. So again, the horse that was meant to be part of the sacrifice because Indra was feeling insecure. He was thinking, Ritu Maharaj is going to take my throne after he performs 100 Ashwamedh Yajnas. And that was never the mindset of Prithu Maharaj. So Lord Brahma first came and said, please stop this 100th throne because it's disturbing Indra. Now somebody could say, why didn't Lord Brahma go to Indra and say, stop doing this? Because Brahma knew, even if he says it, Indra is kind of like a stubborn child and a very dear child. So sometimes it's very difficult to control such a child. One way to is just pacify them. Okay, don't worry, your throne is not in danger. You are not in danger. You are not about to lose all your fortune. So he went to Prithu Maharaj, knowing that Prithu Maharaj is Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he would understand. So here, Brahmaji comes to Prithu Maharaj, and even Lord Vishnu, Narayan himself comes with Garuda. And it is said that normally Narayan never touches the earth. But on this occasion, for Prithu Maharaj, he touches the earth, and because he's not used to touching the earth, he takes the support of Garuda's shoulder. He holds onto Garuda's shoulder, his carrier's shoulder, so that he doesn't lose his balance. Sometimes people find this narration very surprising in Srimadbhagavatam and other Puranas. We're like, Lord, he never touches the ground, but for Prithu Maharaj, he touches the ground. And what's the purpose of Yajna? To satisfy Yajna Purusha, who's none other than Lord Vishnu. So here, he himself has come. So in reality, the 99 Yajnas are more than the 100 Yajnas. Because even before performing or completing the Yajna, Lord has appeared and he has expressed his desire. And he has brought Indra with him, and Indra is asking for forgiveness. And Prithu Maharaj immediately embraces, Devraj Indra, the king of the demigods. He says, this is fine, this is okay. I will not perform the 100th yajna. So Lord Vishnu becomes more compassionate towards him, and he says, you know what? I will give you sadhu sangha. Sadhu sangha, sarva shastra kaya, lav matra sadhu sangha, sarva siddhi haya. So again, all kind of benefits can be derived in the association of great devotees. He said, you will be visited by the 4 Kumaras. Now, 4 Kumaras, after some time, they do visit Prithu Maharaj, and this is where Sanat Kumar is describing the glories of devotional service. He is identifying the glories. Yadapad pankaj palash vilas bhaktya karmashin gratitam udgratiyanti santaha tadvanarikta matayo yatro piruddha Shoto ganastamaranam bhajvasudevam. He's saying that what's the important? Tad aranam bhajvasudevam. Because the devotees can uproot all material desires. They can easily give up all material desires. That's why he's advising, his recommendation is, Prithu Maharaj, please engage in the devotional service of Krishna, the son of Vasudeva. Now sometimes people get confused between Vasudeva and Vasudeva. Right? Vasudeva is husband of Devaki. So he is father of Krishna. So his son is known as Vasudeva. A gets added to Va. So Vasudeva means son of Vasudeva. Now Vasudeva is also known as secondary name of the Lord, which means one who is present everywhere. And we talk about Vasudeva consciousness or Krishna consciousness. So again, that is the spiritual consciousness that we have, but sometimes the material consciousness, in this being in contact with the material world, we think that we are this body, and so we think everything in respect to the body. And then the consciousness becomes polluted and becomes material consciousness. So Lord is always pure, but we living entities, we are small. We are easily overcome by this power of material energy because we become overwhelmed, just like someone's sitting in a big current of river and they're swept away by the current of river, right? Why? Because this is like the material desires coming one after another and people get swept away. But then if you are already situated in high tide of the ocean is sweeping away, means overflowing the river. And that is devotional service. It gives us param drishtva nivartate. So our desire to have that higher taste continues to grow. Now, when we are engaging Krsna Katha, and there are so many material desires still coming our way, we should be sthit pragya. So we have to be very strongly willed to understand what is our benefit, what is in our benefit, what is going to help us. So we have to, T is for tolerance. We have to develop tolerance, which is the internal resilience through surrender. We do not have enough power, but Lord is all powerful. In this regard, Acharyas give the example of wind and cloud. Sometimes, these personalities, they go in competition with each other. So wind and cloud, they were talking to each other. The wind was saying, I'm more powerful. See, I can move you anywhere. This cloud says, that's not important. We have to find it from a third person's perspective. So wind says, okay, you see that man climbing on this hill? I will blow so hard that the coat he's wearing, he will take it off. I'll take off his coat with my power of blowing so strongly. And you can try the same thing. So whoever wins is able to he's able to take off his coat, then that personality will win. So, okay, Cloud says, that's decided. Let's do it. Wind says, okay, I'll go first, and starts blowing. The stronger the wind blew, the stronger the man clutched to his coat. He would not take off his coat. After some time, wind became very tired and said, okay, if I can't do it, how can the cloud do it? It came back to cloud, okay, now it's your turn, you can try. All cloud did was got away so that the sunlight can fall on the man. And then the man said, it's pretty sunny and it's hot. Why am I wearing this coat? He took off the coat. Now, why was cloud successful? Because it took shelter of higher power. So again, that is inner surrender. Bhakti, I is referring to that inner surrender that we have to completely trust in Krishna's mercy. Just like cloud in this case trusted the mercy of sun god. Sun's rays warmed up the whole environment so much so that the man was able to take off his coat. So when we all seek is peace, purpose, and love, right? Yet what's the state of our mind? It's loaded with desires, really finding any rest, right? This is the nature of this material world. And Srimadbhagavatam, this verse delivers a bold statement that devotional service effortlessly unties the deepest knot of karma, unlike the Gyanis and Yogis. So we have to see things from proper perspective. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So again, for those who are joining us little later, today we are covering verse 4:22-39, where Sanat Kumar is revealing to Prithu Maharaj the glories of Bhakti Yoga, that the devotees can easily overcome the material desires and even uproot them because they have a higher taste, while the Gyanis and Yogis are not able to do so. So let's deep dive. So we just covered the acronym Bhakti, Bhajan, humility, association, Krsna Katha, tolerance, and inner surrender. So again, you would find that each of these are very much intertwined, all these aspects, right? Because B is for bhajan. Bhajan means it's a heartfelt devotional engagement. It's not something that you are just performing as part of ritual. Hare Krishna. Let me turn the trying to set that I don't get notifications from outside.
Okay, Prabhuji, you can take care of that. I will just quickly bring up to speed those who just joined. I can take care for a minute or two. All right. So, dear devotees, today, well, as most of you know, every Thursday, USA time, and Friday early morning, Indian Standard Time, Prabhuji shares some very special select verses from Srimad Bhagavatam. Today, he selected to speak on verse number 39 from Canto 4, chapter 22. And like he mentioned earlier, this is a pastime where the emperor of the world, King Prithu, is a very virtuous, righteous king. He's actually Shaktavesh avatar of the Supreme Lord. He's incarnation of Supreme Lord. And he very humbly, very beautifully received the 4 Kumaras and he served them and he presented some questions. Not that he wants to know spiritually something, he's having gap or he's in ignorance, but it's for benefit of mankind. He has presented questions, and one of the Kumaras, his name is Sanat Kumar, he is giving transcendental knowledge. So that's where this is one of the verses which highlights the glories of devotional service. So, Prabhuji, are you ready to continue?
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Please go
Thank
ahead.
you. Yeah, I had to turn on Do Not Disturb. Thank you, devotees, for your patience. So the first one, B, is for bhajan, which is heartfelt devotional engagement. It's not just we are singing and dancing for our pleasure. It is for Krishna's pleasure. But because it is glorifying Krishna, we automatically feel the pleasure because that's our nature, to be eternal servant of the Lord. So when Master is glorified, servants become very happy. So without devotional engagement, the soul, we stay entangled in this material world. So what does true liberation mean? True liberation comes not from repression, but from loving absorption in the Lord's lotus feet. So again, we see that the yogis, they're trying to control their senses. And the jnanis, they're trying to control their intelligence and control their, physical aspects of their life by not engaging in activities, but not having any desire to engage is also a desire. So again, we have to look from the proper perspective. And Srila Prabhupada has provided some amazing insights in the purport as well as, in various different purports scattered. Well, he tells us that the easiest way to control the mind, right, is to fix it always on the lotus feet of the Lord. So our mind is restless. It is Ubdruta Chanchalam Manha Krishna, as Arjun was revealing. So for mind, it is not that you sit in a corner and don't think anything. That's very difficult. You try that with a child, you will see that child's behavior won't improve. Rather, best is to improve the nature of the child by better engagement, by engaging the children in activities that is more interesting and inspiring to them. So we have to not stop engagement, we have to engage, but with a higher purpose, with a higher taste. And so Bhakti Yoga is the only process that purifies the heart of all contaminations. So our heart, has so many anarthas. Anartha means things that do not have any value from a spiritual perspective. Yes, they may have value from material perspective, but then which anarthas are we talking about? Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Mad, Matsara, lust, anger, greed, pride, envy, delusion. Again, all these things are causing contamination in the heart. So we want to be devoid of that. We want a clean heart so that we can invite the Lord in our heart. But then it is a cyclic process because as Lord comes in our heart, automatically things become clean by the presence of the Lord. Because Adi Guru, we get the mercy of Lord Balaram. So Bhajan Kriya is regulated devotional service and it is the foundation of advancement, spiritual advancement. True advancement in life is something that you cannot get from Brahmalok to the down, what planet is Patal, which is spiritual advancement. So again, that is priceless. And my Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, Srila Bhagavad Pad, he used to say, when devotional service becomes the heartbeat of our life, everything else aligns with the divine will. So again, when we are fully focused, just like heartbeat never stops and goes in a rhythm, right? That's how devotional service should become part of it. It is something that is an active engagement, that we are engaging our senses, our mind, our intelligence, everything around us, our family members, everyone, so that we can all spiritually enlighten each other through the glories and bhajan kriya of the Supreme Lord. So bhajan is not just a ritual, but a relationship. And who's this relationship with? This relationship is with Lord Krishna, who knows our heart. Voktaram yagatapasam sarvalok maheshwaram suhridam sarva bhutanam gyatva mam shantim richati. This is the peace formula 5.29 in Bhagavad Gita. Voktaram yagatapasam. So of all the yagya tapasam, so all the sacrifices, austerities, and all such activities that one performs, who is the beneficiary? Lord Krishna. And Sarvalok Maheshwaram is the supreme proprietary of all material universes and spiritual universes. And Suhidam Sarva Bhutanam, and he is the best friend, benefactor of every living entity. So if he's a best friend, then of course whatever he does is the best thing for us. So we have to look from that perspective. Even a moment of genuine bhajan creates an eternal impact in our life. And when we chant with intention to serve, and when we act with intention to serve, when we think with intention to serve, when we feel that we have to serve, for the pleasure of the Lordship, then truly the bhajan, the devotional service, will become our soul's true expressions. Again, it's very important for us to understand that actions are louder than words. And when we act with proper understanding, thinking, feeling, willing, then things really have a profound impact in our lives. And when we serve with devotion, Krishna accepts even the smallest gesture as a priceless treasure. I was reading Indra coronates Lord Krishna, so it's given in Padma Puran, really elaborate form, as well as many other Puranas. It has been described apart from Srimad Bhagavatam, yes. But in Srimad Bhagavatam, we have to understand it's a summary study of Vedanta Sutra, while other Puranas, they go at much greater length. So what had happened was that all these demigods had come together. Indra with Aravat had come and done an abhishek of Lord Krishna with Ganges water, and Kamdhenu cow. She had come and she had given abhishek to the Lordship, Lord Krishna, with her own milk. And various demigods had come. Even the Aarti was performed by Lord Shiva at that particular time as part of this. And so all these wonderful demigods, after they had performed all this, they left the paraphernalia there, and after Lord Krishna gave them permission, they were returning back. But then suddenly they stopped. Why? Because they saw this Gopa boy suddenly discovered Krishna sitting on this royal throne on Govardhan Hill, in this secluded place where all this Abhishek was being performed. And all these boys are saying, oh, where did this jeweled conch come from? Where did this beautiful umbrella come from? Where is this, golden handled charmer is from? Where is this morpunk is from? So they were like, start playing, and they were, nicely playing and, in their own way, like a, Vraj Bhakti Bhav, in that they were performing Lord Krishna's another Aarti, another, it's not Abhishek, but they were doing the Aarti and showing to Lord Krishna as part of their love. Now, from external perspective, somebody could say, well, they don't know how to do Purusha Sukta prayers, they don't know how to sing properly, they don't have a rhythm, and this and that, all those things, but then they had true love. So when they were, glorifying Lord Krishna and doing his Aarti in this manner, Lord Krishna was smiling and he was feeling very blessed. Oh, these are my cowherd friends, and they are in so much love with me. He wasn't looking at their tone, he wasn't looking at their lay, he wasn't looking at their meter, he was looking at their bhav. Lord is bhav grahi janardana. So how we spend our time and pleasure for the pleasure of the Lordship, that matters a lot. So he even accepts, and at that time the demigods are shocked. They performed it, their performance looked like some official performance, and sometimes, when the photographs appear in front of celebrity and celebrities have to smile. But then when the celebrities are at home with their own children, that laugh and smile that they are having with playing with their own children is completely different than the official way that they are in front of the journalists and photographers on a function or something like that. So here we are seeing that the same thing, and Srila Prabhupada used to say that Lord Krishna, when he's in office, he appears like Lord Vishnu, and everyone is worshipping him in awe and reverence. But when he is in Vrindavan, in his Vraj Dham, then he is at home. and he is dealing with his family members. So there is a big difference. So bhakti begins when we place Krishna at the center, not convenience. So we have to look that our real bhajan should crack open the ego shell to reveal our longing for love for Krishna. So that is where the connection truly begins, right? Now, somebody could say, I'm chanting 64 rounds in my mind. Well, the response could be, I chant round loud, right? And loud enough that Krishna wakes up. So sometimes that could be another perspective. Well, we have to understand that bhajan is not about quantity alone. It is about consciousness and connection. Jiva Goswami, he actually recommends that we should chant out loudly to awaken ourselves, to keep ourselves focused. And sometimes people have this perspective of rationalizing, rational lies. So they have rational to believe what they are thinking, which are lies, to be true because they're rationalizing it. Sometimes people say, my phone reminds me to chant, but my mind reminds me to check messages. So we can set up alarms to say, oh, I have to, make sure that I wake up at Brahma Muhurt time and do my chanting. But as soon as the alarm goes up, and even if we are waking up, the first thing we are checking, oh, is there any messages? Is there any ping coming at the same time? So bhajan needs prioritization, not just reminders. We should be able to completely eliminate that part of our life, saying that this is dedicated time only for Krishna, because he is the most important person in each of our lives. So ever notice how and when we chant, even chore becomes suddenly urgent, right? And that happens all the time. Because Maya is testing the sincerity of our bhajan, our devotional service, by offering convenient distractions. So she's very expert. We chant 3 to 4 hours a day only, but she is working on, attracting us and keeping us entangled 24/7. So we have to be very, very careful. And sometimes some people, they chant Hare Krishna so softly that even the, super soul needs a stethoscope. The doctors use stethoscope. Well, vocal chanting builds focus and presence. So again, when we do bhajan, it's very important that we do it so focused and try to be as clear as possible, right? And sometimes we see that, yes, the beats are moving, the lips are moving, but the mind is roaming. It's a roaming channel is going on. So is this multitasking? No, it's not multitasking. Bhajan means full-hearted presence, not split attention. So we should be very careful when we are chanting, and we keep chanting, right? And sometimes people do join Zoom call until the boss says, is this Hare Krishna hotline? Well, we have to understand time, place, and intention matter in bhajan. So we have to be very much focus in our practice. And some of the tips we can practice on a daily basis is, of course, chanting during Brahma Muhurta is the most effective way. For that, it starts the night before. So between 8 to 9 p.m., we should plan to go to bed so that next day we are fresh and we are ready to chant. And when we are chanting, yes, we can walk, or otherwise, if we are sitting, just sit on a fixed spot daily. So that becomes our focus area. And normally, the northeast corner of the house is the best place to chant. But don't do that if there's a commode or something like that. So again, and we have to focus on the sound vibration, not speed, not volume. We have to focus on sound vibration to hear it correctly, clearly, and we should not be too loud or too soft. We should just be right. So it has to be, in a way that it appears like prayer. So again, in a prayerful mood, we should be carrying it out. And having a chanting journal always helps, right? Associating with inspiring chanters, that also helps. Hearing Krishna Katha, just like all your wonderful devotees are doing, that also helps to keep us inspired and engaged and recharged. And we should always, record our realizations, note down what realizations we have. And then at the end, we should also ask ourselves questions. It's not just about, okay, we are collecting all these things. We should ask ourselves, how do I feel before and after chanting? How do I feel before and after bhajan? How do I feel before and after a, pravachan? So again, that's also important. And what distractions show up during my bhajan? Just like you saw, means again, I'm trying to focus over here on Krishna Katha, and then there are pings going on. The messages are flooding in. All you have to do is put on Do Not Disturb. And what's one improvement I can make in my chanting today, in my bhajan, in my devotional service today? So when bhajan becomes inner compass, life becomes simple. And desires, they become loose. Again, they loosen, and the direction becomes clear. And naturally, the humility to serve emerges, which brings us to H for humility, which is the foundation of spiritual progress. So here it is said, Rikta Matayo, right in this verse. Why? Because those who are devoid of devotional service, they cannot easily overcome the material desires. Right? While the great devotees, the santas, are described as those who have transcendental material entanglements. So again, this is transcendental. Why? Because they have the humility to accept the lost shelter and engage in bhakti. Even renounced yogis, as well as the jnanis, they fail without surrender because they fail to surrender. That's the shortcoming. So that's why their count is in non-devotees. They have material desires. So Srila Prabhupada would give us many insights into this, identifying the importance of humility, which means that one should not be anxious to have satisfaction of being honored by others. So that's the most important aspect of humility. So one cannot be a devotee unless he is humble and meek. That doesn't mean that you make a show of things and then have people glorify how humble you are. No, that itself beats the purpose. The beginning of devotional life is not just getting Harinam initiation, it's to be humility. It's humility is the very foundation. Tanadapi sunichena tarorapi saishna manina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. So this third verse form, Shesha Shashtakam, should be worn as around the neck, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would say. And he used to identify because we have to be more humble than the grass on the street, more tolerant than the tree, ready to give all respect to others, but not expecting any respect for oneself. One can engage in devotional service constantly. So, humility is not thinking less of oneself, it is thinking of oneself less and thinking of Krishna more. That is the true definition of humility. And so, the more we grow in bhakti, the smaller we should feel before the Lord. He is magnanimous. We are minuscule. That realization should come. Not like, oh, I'm such a great bhakta. No, there are millions and millions of bhaktas out there who are serving the Lord constantly. We should feel that how can I be an instrument in the hands of the Lord? So if we think that we are humble, we just lost it because it's in action, right? Lord Chaitanya, he taught humility not by lecture, but by sweeping the temple. He was cleaning the temple, marjana. And that's how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, in the very first verse, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. By chanting the holy name, we are cleaning the mirror of our heart. So, real humility is to recognize that everything good in us is Krishna's mercy. We may make endeavor, but it will be useless unless we get Krishna's mercy. So we are fully dependent on Krishna's mercy, and that should make us humble. It is not a weakness, it is the greatest strength because it is enabling us directly to connect with Krishna. It is creating that divine connection. So again, first we have to understand who we are. Sambandha, Abhidheya, Prayojana. What is our relationship with Krishna? He is the Supreme Father. We are the eternal children and servants. And Abhideya is the process of devotional service, which is bhajan. Bhajan is devotional service, the 9 processes of devotional service. And then prayojana is his pleasure. So again, the goal is to please Lord Krishna. The love of Godhead comes as a result of that, pleasure that Lord Krishna feels. So now, from humility, there's always like a dark side, then there has to be a bright side, right? So if humility is such a strong, potent personality, then who is against it? The ego, the false ego. It fears humility because it exposes the soul's longing for dependence. right? False ego is saying, I am independent, and has the demonic mindset. I'm the greatest of all, while humility is saying, no, I'm the lowest of all. So now this is exposing the true nature of a soul. So the false aspects, the material aspects, they become fearful. And a humble heart becomes a throne on which Lord Krishna sits. So we have to become humble if we want to invite Lord Krishna to sit in our heart. So as we are understanding how humility is helping us, how can we use some of the practice? How can we practice humility on a daily basis? We can serve in unnoticeable ways, clean, assist, and support without recognition. And we can practice gratitude speech. Before we go to bed, again, we can do that. When we wake up, first thing we can do that. That way, we acknowledge others daily, not just Lord Krishna, but His blessings in the form of sadhu sangha. We have the association of devotees who are enabling us in our spiritual progress, who are pushing us to go higher. Sometimes people think, oh, everyone should be praising me. That is just what false ego wants. While a mentor or sadhus, they are looking at everyone's progress. And of course, just like doctors, sometimes doctors have to operate and give you very not so pleasing tasting medicine. Yet at the same time, it's for benefit. So we have to listen more and speak less to constantly continue to improve our reflection on life. And we reflect on our dependence on Guru, Krishna, and the Vaishnavas. So that is very important. And correction should be accepted with grace, right? Without internal comparisons. We should not be comparing ourselves. The only person we are in compete with is ourselves. And every day we should be growing and defeating ourselves so as to rise higher. So we should ask ourselves, in what situation do I struggle with humility? How do I react when I'm not appreciated, when I'm not recognized, when I'm not glorified? Because false ego has this tendency of name, fame, and glorification. So you have to save ourselves from that. And what does real humility look like in my daily sadhana? Am I really working for the pleasure of Lord Krishna? Or I'm looking at how others are looking at me and understanding how great a devotee I am. So that's also very important. We have to constantly understand what is our mindset, our consciousness, how are we looking, engaging in bhajan, and how humbly we are seeking. So our focus is pleasure of the Lordship. And this becomes fully enlivened and fully inspiring when we have association, a power of Sangha. And Sadhu Sangha is with us, which is BHA. Bhajan, humility, and now comes association. A is for association, where we saw that, humility is the fertile ground where bhakti can blossom. But how will we nurture that humility consistently in the face of ego, distractions, and doubts? Right? So we need some higher power, and the answer is in the power of association, especially with sadhus. Sadhus are those personalities in our life who have appeared as teachers, mentors, gurus, and spiritual masters who embody what we aspire to become. So again, Hiranyakashipu, when he asked Lord Brahma the boon, because he wanted to take the place of Lord Brahma. That should never be the mindset. We should understand that when we are taking help from a mentor, when we are taking help from a teacher, it is for us to learn. And sometimes it is said that when a student follows the instruction of the teacher, he can become sugar while the teacher may still be good. So again, that's exactly. So that's sometimes comparison is given, but that doesn't mean that the student has exceeded the teachers. It is just that the teacher has been so nice and the student has been so nice. When they are in perfect combination, the student is excelling in his or her own life. Their competition is not with the teacher, because believe me, Lord Krishna likes good, zaggery more than sugar. So here, this verse, it's connecting us. Yadpada pankaj palas vilas bhaktya. It is only through devotion to the lotus feet of Lord that Santa, the devotees, are able to untie the knots of karma. But how do we develop such devotion? Through constant and meaningful association with such santaha, great devotees, pure devotees of the Lordship. And the verdict of Vedic literature is that by even a moment's association with a pure devotee, one can attain all perfection. We have all heard the story of Amrish Maharaja's brother. When Devashi Narad, he received Amrish Maharaj's request, please try to deliver my brother, who's a gross materialist. Devashi Narad tried, but then the brother picked up his sword and ran after Devashi Narad. And Devashi Narad, he said, oh, I have to run to save my life. And this king would not leave. But of course, after some time, the king got tired. This is what happens. People in material consciousness, they are so much in being merry and enjoying their life. They don't have much stamina. And while Devashi Narad is a transcendental spaceman, he can run unlimitedly. So, when the king was out of his breath, he was resting. Devashi Narad said, okay, I'll leave you alone. Just ask Yamraj when you are taken to Yamlok, what is the benefit of a momentary association? So when the king, he was taken by the Yamdutas to Yamlok, he asked that question. When Chitragupt and Yamraj were speechless. They went to Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma took them to Mahadev. They all went to Shir Sagar, and then, Lord Vishnu said, who has the question? What is the question? So they sent the king to, Lord at Shir Sagar, Vaikuntha, to ask the question. And Lord smiled and said, see, love matra sadhu sangha sarv siddhi haya. So this king has now come to Vaikuntha, and even I cannot ask him to leave. So that is the benefit of association, right? So association with devotees means hearing about Krishna. It's about Ishta Goshti. It is the beginning of Bhakti. It's from Adho Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangha Bhajan Kriya. So we engage in Bhajan Kriya because of association. And that causes Anartha Nivrati Istyat. So again, the science of devotion service, as Srila Rupa Goswami describes, that association is the foundation of the 6 types of things that can help us increase our bhakti. Association is very important. We have to avoid gossips and more engage in Krishna Katha. So that is also very important, because what are we doing among the devotees? We are engaging Krishna Katha, which is the nourishment of the soul through divine narration. So in this regard, we can understand that, yes, we can think of this body as the cage and our soul being the parrot in the cage. So now if somebody just takes care of the cage and the parrot is starving, of course, that will die. That's why those who engage in taking care of material desires but do not take care of the spiritual desires, they are said to be killer of the souls, Atmaha. So we have to understand we should not be at that level. So we have to engage in Krishna Katha. And as we engage, means we should be setting a daily Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam hearing goal. Every 10 minutes or 15 minutes, we should, think about, sometimes it's said that, yes, we are sitting all day, so we should get up, every hour to do some exercise. When we are getting up every hour, we can do a small stuti, a small prayer to the Lordship, right? We can keep a notebook and something nice that appears to us, and even phone can be used. We can record it, to share with our loved ones and other sadhus, other devotees. And we can always read a verse, just like today we are reading such a beautiful verse by Sanat Kumar to Prithu Maharaj again, and attend Kirtan and Krishna Katha festivals with full presence. It's not that we are there and our mind is somewhere else. It's not that we are going to Vrindavan, but only focusing on visiting Loi Bazaar and not visiting the temple. So we have to understand things with proper perspective. So we have to look at more Krishna Katha in the association of devotee. This brings us, what do we do in the association of devotee? Krishna Katha, which is nourishment for the soul. And as we continue to grow in this manner, we have to look at our lives from the perspective that what should be the qualities we should be developing. We talked about humility. Again, become more tolerant than the tree. So tolerance is also very important, which is the internal resilience through surrender. So we have to focus on becoming tolerant, right? Which is not looking for life of comfort, right? We should be looking at, because when we try to look at life for comfort, then we engage in over endeavor, right? And when we engage in over endeavor, that takes away important time that we could be devoting in bhajan kriya and devotee association. So it's just by not by mere willpower, but by surrender to Krishna's will. That's the true tolerance, right? So we can awaken the strong connection to the Lord, but life doesn't always offer comfort. And here, tolerance isn't passive suffering, it is active absorption in devotional service despite difficulties. We see Arjun's case, he was perplexed on the battlefield, and Krishna revealed to him that, yes, you have to carry out this because I have desires. You are just an instrument. Nimittara matram bhave savesachin. So he accepted that. So he was tolerant from that perspective that he engaged himself in fighting with his relatives. So tolerance is one of the key qualifications of a bhakta, right? So we must endure even when there is provocation. We must focus, keep our focus on pleasure of Lord Krishna. And of course, a devotee is naturally tolerant because he is accustomed to being insulted by non-devotees. That is a common thing. What to talk about non-devotees? Because again, people who see, they sometimes, they say, oh, these Hare Krishnas, they have nothing else. Not realize they actually will work twice harder than a normal person that goes to office. Means we take care of our bhakti along with going to office. And at the same time, we read and spend hours and hours in Krishna bhakti. So, of course, we work harder, but from external perspective, people may not think so. So we have to become tolerant. We have to be humble. We have to seek association. But how can we do it if we do not have inner surrender? So I in Bhakti is all about completely trusting in Krishna's mercy. That is inner surrender. That is our intrinsic qualities to surrender. Jivera Surupaya Krishnera Nityadas, the eternal summit of Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So these are some of the important aspects I just wanted to cover today. And just wanted to glorify this verse where it is Sanat Kumar, who started as a yogi, who started as a, actually yogi, then Brahmavadi, and finally he became a bhakta. So he actually went through that cycle and he actually was able to enter the 5 gates. On the 6th gate, he was stopped. Actually, 7th gate, he was stopped. All the 6 gates they passed, like Kam, Krodh, Lo, Mo, Mad, Matsara. They don't have any of those qualities. It was the 7th gate where Jai Vijay stopped them. And that's where Lord Padmanabh Vishnu appeared on the door, and they were able to smell the tulsi, and they realized that, yes, the supreme form, Bhagwan Swarup, is the true form of the Lordship. It is complete. Satchidananda Vigraha. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So this is what I wanted to share with you today. Gantra Srimadbhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Bhagavad ki jai, Anant Kori Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Go Premanande, Hari Hari Go. Hare Krishna Devi, do you have anything you would like to share, or if there is any question?
I just quickly wanted to add, since you mentioned the gates, it's for those who are not familiar, these are the gates in Vaikuntha, in the spiritual world. So Sanat Kumars are 4 very young boys, and they went to have darshan of Supreme Lord, and they were stopped at gate number, which was that? Gate number 5?
7.
7. And so there is a whole pastime. Maybe Prabhuji, you can share that pastime in one of the classes. So, so indeed, this is a very important topic. Very quickly, within a minute, I would like to just mention that Sanat Kumar's words to King Prithu, they carry the beautiful message for us that even those entangled in darkest of material illusions can rise to the highest platform, spiritual platform, through selfless devotion. This is the transformative power of bhakti. And so there is so much hope for all of us. Transformative power of bhakti reclaims the lost, it sanctifies the unworthy, and it awakens the soul to its eternal joy. So we can all resolve to walk on this spiritual path of bhakti with humility, faith, steadiness. Prabhuji gave a nice acronym. We can memorize that. You can go back and watch this recording once the link is available. And we can have that strong faith, and we can trust that Krishna reciprocates not with perfection, but with intention, and that sincere bhakti, however little, is never lost. So, Prabhuji, I think we can conclude the call.
Hare Krishna, Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Srila Bhagavad ki Janant Koti Vaishnav ki Jai, Nitai Go Premanande, Hari Hari.
Haribol.
Have a wonderful week in Krishna consciousness. Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna.